So we're getting really close to WrestleMania. And right now, when I look at the women's division overall, I'm really not feeling it. I don't know about you. Maybe it's your favorite thing right now, but for me, it's kind of missing some sparks, like it hasn't been able to get going. And at the same time, there's so many stars there for them to work with and stories they could do. So on SmackDown, we had Charlotte Flair decide that she's going to officially go after Tiffany Stratton, the women's championship over on SmackDown. They're going to do that at WrestleMania. I think that was the match that we expected them to do. I don't think it's really any surprise. She went to NXT, she talked to Rhea on Raw, and she talked to Tiffany twice. I felt like they could have milked that a little bit more, like just built up to it. Like why Charlotte is choosing Tiffany, didn't really say. I thought Charlotte sitting in the chair over top of Tiffany, while good, I mean, it felt very CM Punk-ish with the pipe bomb and Cena and laying there. Like, you got to listen to this whole thing while this happens. And it's just, I don't know. I get what they're trying to do. I am just not, for this specifically, I want to talk about like the titles, the divisions, kind of all of it when it comes to the women's side. This Charlotte-Tiffany feud that they are doing, not really into it. I don't think Charlotte was really the right pick for WrestleMania. I think it was the obvious pick. I think it's what we expected to happen, and it did. And I'm not trying to throw shade or say that like, hey, the match for Tiffany and Charlotte won't be good. I think that the wrestling match itself will be very good. I think they could play off each other pretty well. You're gonna have, you know, Tiffany doing the moonsault and Charlotte doing the moonsault on the outside, and they're gonna like try to match up, one up each other, and it might result in Tiffany getting the win and beating Charlotte at WrestleMania, solidifying Tiffany as the massive baby face, which I think she really needs. Her character really needs that. She's wildly popular, and she is a champion, but I do feel like she needs that Charlotte win, the rub, to be able to get to kind of the next level and then see what happens from there. But Charlotte winning the Rumble and then just coming out and just saying, I'm going to declare, I don't find any of it exciting, very intriguing, no real motivation. Charlotte kind of messing with the crowd of like, you don't like me, I'm just gonna boo me anyways, and then you're gonna cheer me a little bit, and just, I don't know, it just doesn't, it just feels very middle of the road. We've seen it, we've done it. I think it would have been fun if you had somebody new. Like, I'm not booking this thing, like what the hell do I know? I'm just saying that from a fan's perspective, I don't find it very engaging. We're gonna get the next 10 weeks of SmackDown where it's Tiffany and Charlotte doing promos together. They're not going to wrestle. Charlotte might have a match. They might do tag team match at Elimination Chamber where Charlotte might get involved in it at the end to screw over Tiffany Stratton, where it might be Tiffany and Trish going up against Nia and Candice if they want to do that. Although to me, you should be doing Nia and Charlotte against Trish and Tiffany to make it really interesting. But then I could just see if they do that match at Chamber, then I'm like, okay, then that's going to set up things more for WrestleMania, putting the odds against Tiffany, like she can't do it, can't overcome it, and then boom, maybe she beats Charlotte. I think for the fan side, at least for me, I've seen Charlotte's career. We've seen her get the title for years. We've seen her at the top. We've seen her kind of seemingly given those spots where they're just going to put the title on Charlotte because that's the thing Vince wants to do. Like, we go back a little bit and you get Ronda versus Becky, and that WrestleMania main event became a three-way because of Vince. And I'm not saying this is Charlotte's doing. I'm saying that like WWE creative over the years, it's like, we're gonna put her in the main event for the women's match. It's like, okay, it was great, but it didn't need it. And she's won all these championships in a very short amount of time. I don't feel like right now where the business is, where WWE is as a product, that she's really needed at the tippy top going for the title, kind of like Becky Lynch. So let's look at Raw. You got Rhea Ripley with the world title. What's going on? Nothing has been going on. And again, none of this is to say it's the performer's fault. From the creative side and the storytelling, Rhea's title reign, I don't think it's been all that great. I'm usually very Mr. Optimistic over here, but I'll call it like I see it. For me, it's just not that engaging. It's just, Rhea is just on TV, milling about, doing some promos. She had the Liv feud that went on way too long, and I understand that could be because they had injuries to deal with on Rhea's side throughout, and maybe they wanted to end that feud sooner than they did, and they couldn't get out of it in time. But they dismantled Judgment Day. It lost all its momentum. You finally ended things with Liv on the debut episode of Raw on Netflix. That's fine. But then since then, you don't have any challengers for her. And even throughout the last year of 2024 with Rhea, I think that's one of the mistakes they made, was that while Liv had the title and you were clearly just trying to do Rhea versus Liv and Dom versus Rhea the whole way through, you didn't set anybody else up on Raw to be a credible challenger for Liv or then for Rhea, or to have them mixing it up so that it became dynamic. That was one of the pluses that I've seen on SmackDown for the women's side, is you would have multiple people getting involved, where you would have Naomi and you have Tiffany, you have Bayley, Nia Jax, Candice LeRae, Bianca can be in there, the tag stuff. Like, they've done a lot over the last year of 2024 till now, where you felt like, okay, like we can move the title around and we could tell multiple stories that are kind of intertwining, and that's all positive. But I think because on Raw, it was all about Liv Rhea's story till the end, nothing else got built. So now we're in a spot on Raw where, okay, who's gonna win the chamber? You guys tell me what you think, but who's winning the chamber to take on Rhea? And is that really gonna be all that exciting? Now, we are gonna get Io versus Rhea on Raw. That's a great match. And Io is somebody that I think should just gotten into the chamber, win it, and go to WrestleMania to take on Rhea, because I think that was kind of a baked in story that they could tell. And Io had really good momentum, but now I think they've kind of pivoted that. Damage Control is going to get into the tag stuff, in my eyes. I think they're going to do this one match on Raw between Rhea and Io. Then Rhea wins, they shake hands at the end, they're buddies, and then Io goes off with Dakota Kai and does the tag team stuff. I think Bianca versus Rhea is a really good idea. I think that they have teased that when they have both been respective champions. And if you remember that, where they had to do like the title swap thing, when they were both champions, and then they had to go to Raw and SmackDown and flip, and then they kind of walk past each other, and they teased it. They've had a few moments in there, but Bianca seems firmly over with the tag stuff as tag team champion with Naomi, and now the whodunit story with Jade Cargill, which to me is going to reveal itself to be Bianca and Naomi. They were the ones behind attacking Jade. Maybe Jordan Grace is going to help out Jade or something like that. So I don't think it's going to be Naomi. Alexa Bliss, like, I'm glad she is super popular. She had a giant reaction, giant pop at the Royal Rumble. I am glad she's on TV, but they're not doing anything yet. It's all about the Elimination Chamber, which makes sense. Now, you could do Alexa Bliss versus Rhea Ripley at Mania. That's a lot of star power. You could do that, but she's probably going to get into the Wyatt stuff. Now, you could have her go with the Wyatts, and they could mess around with Rhea Ripley on Monday Night Raw a little bit, even though they're on SmackDown. And then you could have Bliss versus Rhea at Mania. They could do that, but I don't see that happening. I see more likely that Bliss is just going to go off doing something with the Wyatts. Naomi, don't see it, because she's just with the tag team stuff. I think Jade's thing, it might get revealed at the Elimination Chamber. Liv Morgan, I see her and Raquel going off to do the tag team stuff. So the chamber on the women's side, it is at least interesting. And I know Bayley is in there. You could do Bayley versus Rhea at Mania. It's not exciting. And that's the thing with the women's division overall, is it's kind of mid. It's just not that enthralling. It's not that enthusiastic. There's no real big personal stories like you have on the men's side, where it's Cody and the Bloodline and all of these different elements intertwining. Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. They don't have any of that personal story stuff happening. It's just matches. I kind of think you need to get the title off Rhea and have her do something else, something away from the belt. She is like the most popular female in WWE. I get it. But she maybe doesn't need the belt anymore post WrestleMania, and go do something else. That's something that's going to be a bigger, more personal, deeper storyline than just I'm champion. So then you get into like the other divisions, the Intercontinental, the United States Championship, and then we also have the tag. Let me talk about the tag for a second. The tag team division for the women has been start and stop since its inception. And since Triple H took over, you have seen it get ramped up a little bit, and then get pulled back a little bit, get a little bit of momentum, and then a little bit of not, get some makeshift teams together, and then there's nothing happening, and then you get just kind of a few of the exact same thing. But I'm starting to see them putting more emphasis on it, and a little bit deeper storylines, and a little bit more to work with in terms of teams, because you have Bianca and Naomi with the X Factor of Jade. You have Liv and Raquel, who went up on Raw against Damage Control, Io and Dakota. That match was awesome. Liv bled, like, let's go. That's great. That shows me that there is like a possible tag team division. You have what's left over of your Fusion Collective, where you got Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler. Get them on TV and make them like an MMA style fighter shoot tag team. Like, let's do that. Chelsea and Piper are a team, but they're firmly doing the US title thing. I know there's other teams that have kind of popped up here and there, but the point is, They got more to work with, it seems, in the women's tag division. The men's tag division is always just a mess, and there's just very little happening over there. But for the women, at least there's something to work with match-wise, and they were putting on killer matches. Like I said, the Liv tag team match on Raw, awesome. And then WWE introduces the women's mid-card championships, something I advocated for personally for a long time. I was like, man, WWE has so much talent, so many women on the roster. They're all just getting slapped together with all of these makeshift tag teams, and they need mid-card championships. They need an Intercontinental, they need a US. Well, they did it. I was like, oh my gosh, great. They finally did something that was really cool. They're gonna have like 5 or 10 women respectfully on the US side and the IC title side, roll them up into like the main event scene. None of that's happened, has it? Lyra Valkyria won the Intercontinental Championship. Who's she in a feud with? Has she even defended the title? She probably had a singles match, but she's been trying to get into the Elimination Chamber. First, she's trying to get into she's in the Royal Rumble, and then she's trying to get into the Elimination Chamber to get to the world title. You're the Intercontinental Champion. Now I know you're gonna say, Matt, Braun Breaker's in the Royal Rumble. He's trying to get to, the World Championship. I understand it. Like, I get it. If you are even in story, it's like, I'm a champion. I want to be bigger champion, double champion. But come on, you're going to put the IC champion, the brand new one, you're putting her, trying to get her to qualify to get into the Elimination Chamber for a different title, and your champion loses. Lyra should be on TV in my eyes every week, putting on banger 10-minute matches, 15-minute matches. You have unlimited time on Netflix. Just make the match longer. I got a 15-20 minute LA Knight Miz Shinsuke promo going on SmackDown, and I didn't really need. You probably could have had a longer women's match. So like with Lyra, come on, have her defend that title consistently. Make it a workhorse title where they're gonna go out there and we can see different women getting on the show, building a feud, have her interact with somebody backstage. Put in Zoe Stark and have Zoe and Lyra going at it every single week. Get some promos done, some sit-down interviews. Why Lyra is gonna do open challenges. Do the open challenge thing. There's just nothing there. Who is in that division that even wants the Intercontinental Championship for the women? And then on the US title side on SmackDown, Chelsea Green has the US Championship, and Chelsea makes that title. Like, I'm a fan. If you're not, okay. But I think Chelsea's fantastic and great as a US champion. She's on TV regularly. She's defending it more often because I think she's just more entertaining. However, she's not in any feuds for the US title. Her thing is just being Chelsea. It's great, but she'll have a match with Michin for the 12th time and also trying to qualify to go after the bigger title. Maybe at some point they're gonna have Piper and Chelsea split. They tease it. I don't see that happen at WrestleMania. But once again, you're not building any real clear-cut divisions or superstars that really want to go after Chelsea in the US title, Lyra with the IC title. And I think that's a problem. You had Bayley and Lyra going at it on Raw in a good match for Elimination Chamber spot. Your IC champion didn't win it. Kind of would have been better if you, and I know she's doing Roxanne Perez stuff with Bayley is, but like you could do Bayley and Lyra in a friendly feud for the Intercontinental Championship. And I mentioned Roxanne Perez. The hope I have is that we start seeing an influx of NXT talent on the women's side coming up to main roster post WrestleMania. I don't think they do it now. You're too close to Mania and everything's kind of lined up. And I think Roxanne would be great to start off with on Raw, getting the Intercontinental Championship and feuding with Bayley or feuding with Lyra and continuing that until she eventually moves on and then gets into the world title scene. There are a lot of women in like Jordynne Grace, for example, showed up at the Rumble, great showing, loved what she did with Piper. Like it was awesome. She looks like $1,000,000. She looks like she belongs on main roster, and I hope she does and doesn't go back to NXT because it freshens things up. You get Jordynne Grace on TV, she could go and fight Chelsea Green. It would be funny. It'd just be hilarious to see them do it, redo the spots with Piper, and get Jordynne Grace to become US champion. It just fits her. She looks like an American gladiator. And then like bring prestige and want to build that title up. And I know it's all in story. It's just storyline. They can just book it however they want. It's a TV show. But I just find that I'm like, you go from the very top, which is Charlotte and Tiffany right now, and Rhea and whoever, then there's these gaps. There's these giant gaps. There's no one that's like on the cusp where you're like, they're doing Tiffany and Charlotte at Mania, but man, that person, whoever's like right below, that's the one that fans are really clamoring for to really get bumped up and do something big or get into the title scene. I don't know how you fix it. I don't work for WWE because I'm just a big dummy sitting here. What would you do? What do you think is wrong with the divisions right now. Why isn't stuff working seemingly? Maybe it is, like I said at the beginning, maybe it is for you and the women's divisions and storylines are awesome for you. Great, I'm happy, but I do see some gaps. So let me know in the comments below. And guys, if you want to talk more about Elimination Chamber and the results of that going into WrestleMania, like how it could all play out, click this video right here, hit subscribe because we're trying to get to 50,000 subscribers. It means a lot. Have a great day. See ya.